We are out here with Mr. Bruce Glenn, appraiser. Does a lot of stuff, but today he's an appraiser.
That's right.
And we're going to try to learn how to, from an investment standpoint, how to be able to really calculate after repair value. That's really what people are most interested in trying to do.
Sure.
Obviously, comps is a big part of that, and which we can't really talk about today, unless maybe later. I mean, I can add it to the video a little bit later.
Exactly. Yeah.
But today, we're going to walk through this house. And it's a little loud out here, but we're going to walk through this house over here in the Huffman area.
Yeah, basically.
Ish.
Yeah, right, close.
And I just want you to kind of tell us.
Yeah.
Do you just do your job and kind of talk through it as you do it?
Yeah, because basically this is really probably the easiest part. This is actually a physical inspection, So I come out here, and the main things I'm looking for, I've got to measure the house. I got to do all the measurements, so I'm going to get the exact square footage, and that's both upstairs, and this is a split foyer, so we're going to have some finished basement area. I'll have to measure that. And then it's just taking notes. I take notes of all the construction materials, how, what's been updated and all that. So, and that's all I do, on this trip. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. So, I'm going to start this with measuring, because that's the first thing I do is I'll measure all the way around the house.
We're going to watch you measure
it.
And I'm going to ask you some questions as you do that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So when you measure square foot, I asked you this on the pod. By the way, Bruce is on our podcast. It's going to be, that episode's going to be released in March. When you measure, you're actually measuring from the outside.
Exactly.
Not from the inside. Because when I go to measure square footage, I think you got to measure each room and then add them together.
No.
So actual square footage that appraisers use is done
totally
how?
Totally from the outside square footage, yeah. And now, for single-family homes like this, now there are differences. If you do a condo, those are interior measurements. I have to measure, but for 98% of the stuff, single families or townhomes, that's an exterior measurement.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you do sometimes, like here it's easy, I'm going to go all the way around it and measure, but you get some of these newer story and a halves where I can't get outside on the second floor. I'll measure on the inside and add 6-9 inches, depending on whatever material is there, to get an exterior measurement. But it is exterior measurement. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have known that.
Yeah. And I do something too. A lot of times I will, spot do measurements on the inside with my rooms, so that when I go back and do the sketch, I know kind of where that wall is, so I don't really have to, but it gives me bearing, dividing up the room walls, so.
Okay. And so another question I've got is kind of help clear up the line that I think is a fuzzy line, because I don't know the industry. I don't know the appraisal industry versus the inspection industry. Where is the line between an inspection, like a home inspection, and an appraisal? Like, what are you? No, go ahead. Go for it. Oh no, take the call if you need to take the call. So the question is, do you kind of understand what I'm saying though? Because there's so much that you do have to take into account as an appraiser. Where is that line, and how do you draw that line?
There's not that much as far as the appraiser does with his home inspection, but basically, if it is a conventional loan, it's got to be safe, secure, and sound. I mean, it really, the carpet can be worn out. It can be in rough shape, but a lot of times conventional. But if it's not safe, if there's, some kind of danger, there's open exposed wiring, or if a door's kicked in, windows are broken, then that's got to be all corrected for conventional. Conventional is a lot easier than FHA. Now, FHA, things have got to be in a lot better. They don't like any peeling paint. They don't like torn up things.
Now, is that the appraiser's responsibility to find that, or the home inspector, or both?
It's more the appraiser, actually.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because home inspection is not technically required. Although we think it should be. As far as FHA, especially because they can find all that stuff. Because I don't have to crawl. This doesn't have crawl space, but we have to take a picture in a crawl space area. All right, but I'm not crawling under there to find out what's wrong. There might be something in the back corner
that
I don't know anything about. So that's really where a home inspector, they get in and look at everything. So, we'll look at stuff as we go through here. This one's been updated, so there's probably not really much of anything that I'm going to find in this one. We'll see. You know, sometimes there is, but probably not in this case. You
Gotcha.
know, but there is a big difference between conventional and FHA loans.
Right.
You know, yeah, conventional
Versus what the lender is going to require to be done.
And it's all lender requirements too. You know, now FHA is guidelines that everybody goes by, but lenders can step up they might require a little bit more. And a lot of times we might just make notes of something and say, well, this is what it is, take pictures of it, and that it's the lender's decision. If they want to, loan on it, it's no big deal to them, then fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. I'm going to slow you way down. So it looks to me like with something like this that's sticking out, it looks to me like that's going to be, the upstairs is going to be a little bit different of square footage than what the downstairs is going to be.
Exactly. And the other thing, and we kind of talked about this in the podcast because it's a split floor like what you had to deal with, everything down here is below grade. Now, a lot of times people will say...
Define that.
Yeah, exactly. If any part of this area is below grade, like right here is below grade. Now, it might be in the back, you can walk right out and it's not below grade. But if there's any part on that house, then the whole basement is considered.
So what does that mean then?
So it's divided up. You get credit. See, people say, oh, I didn't get any credit for my basement. Well, you do. It's just in a different area of the appraisal. So this will be the gross living area, everything above grade,
Which is upstairs.
Which is all this upstairs, and that'll include all the bedrooms, baths that I sketch out. And then this is going to have some finished area in the basement, and then one-car basement garage. So, but I have to measure down there, and you get credit for it. It's just in a different area.
Yeah,
so
and not as much credit.
not as much, exactly. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys paid attention there. Even though it's a finished basement,
Right.
you're not getting the full credit like it was the upstairs
Exactly.
just because it's below grade.
Exactly, yeah. If you had, say this was 1,000 square feet and 1,000 square feet, and then you were comparing it to a 2,000 square foot one story with no basement, that 2,000 square foot is going to be worth more. The square footage is worth more for 2,000
Gotcha.
square feet.
That makes a lot of sense now. I hope you guys are paying attention to this because this is stuff, I've been doing this for almost 5 years, and all this is really, really good information to know before you go into a flip, before you go into anything that's going to need to be appraised, because the appraisal, like I'm dealing with it right now, if the lender is only going to go by the appraisal and they only want to lend, if the appraisal's at, like my case is their appraisal is 137, but the contract price is 150, they got to go with the 137. They won't do the 150. So the appraisal's vital unless they're paying with cash, and then it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the things that's really, it helps me. I mean, it gives me an advantage. I mean, just being an appraiser for 25, 26 years, before I make an offer on something, I know what it's appraised for. In your instance, I sometimes shy away from split floors with one bath upstairs, even though it's got finished with a bath downstairs. Some appraisers, it's all subjective. It doesn't, what I might come up with, and you saw the difference in two appraisals, might not be what somebody else comes up with. So I kind of go more with, I know that there's going to be no question with the appraisal, and I never have a question with the appraisal,
Right.
So, or if I bought something like that, I'd be thinking on the very low end, what would be my worst case if an appraisal came in?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's this one? What's the contract price on this one?
I think it's like 114.9.
So you know that though.
Yes.
How do you know that?
I have to have the contract. That's part of the requirements. They send me once they send me the order, they also send me the contract. Right.
No, we can't. I got 100 questions.
Okay.
Because it's in. You already know the contract price. You cannot unknow that. So, I mean, that's got to, no matter what kind of I'm not going to try to get you in trouble either, but no matter who you are, you know that, and you can't unknow that, so it has to factor in a little bit something.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, but on the other hand, I need to know the contract because there's always, seller paid concession. There's, what's required. Maybe somebody's requiring certain things to be done, and I need to know all that, as part of doing the appraisal. So yeah.
And you know where I'm going with this, though.
Yeah.
But I just.
I gotta take some pictures of it.
Yeah. Since you know the contract price. And it shouldn't factor into the appraisal at all, correct? Or should it?
Technically, not. However, if you have a person that's got a contract on it, the assumption is that you've got a knowledgeable buyer that's been out looking for, properties, and they've been out looking and they see, okay, well, this is where, so, 90% of the time that's going to be a knowledgeable buyer. So that does weigh that you've got somebody that's willing to pay that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to appraise, but there is somebody out there. And a lot of times, people say, the best appraisal is what somebody's going to pay for the house, and so a lot of times we're just trying to,
validate.
Exactly. Validate that and let the bank know that, yeah, you're fine loaning that. There's value there. You're okay.
So, Bruce, this whole house is below grade except that front corner is above grade. Sorry.
Right.
This whole house is above grade except that corner really over there.
Yeah, pretty much. But
that kind of sucks.
Yeah. But even, now the other thing is too, there are areas like Old Cahaba down in Helena. I don't know if you know. A lot of split foyers. And there's a lot of split foyers in there that are actually all above grade. It's like, but since the norm is for a split foyer that the lower part is finished basement, usually you compare it to another split foyer that's got finished basement. And it might be all the way around above grade, but it's really just like this. It just so happens to be. So, but that happens a lot. There might only be a couple feet in one area, but that's the basement.
So this is again kind of this is just me, and I don't know if other people who are watching this have the same kind of questions. So this is where I have a hard time distinguishing, which I want you to clear up, the line between appraiser and home inspector. And so I'm just looking at this house, and there's certain things that just pop out to me like right away. I see a little bit of wood rot, just a little bit, not bad, like on the siding. I see kind of an older condenser outside. I see kind of where the block over there in the corner is, it looks like there might be a little bit of, I don't know, maybe just
small.
You're not looking at any of that.
I look at it, but
that doesn't affect your.
No. Now it will affect. When I pull my comps, I take notes and I'm sitting there going, okay, well, it's got this. If I find a comp that has no updates, we'll go inside and see what's done in the inside too, because I'll take notes for all that. So I might say, well, this one compared to one that has no updates, I got to plus this. Or it might have somebody totally. Everything's been redone, and I might have to take off because this has got a few things that haven't been redone, that type of thing. So,
gotcha.
Unless I see something though that's, more significant than the little bit we got,
So I guess what I hear you saying is you are just trying to compare.
Yeah, exactly.
X to X and try to find another X. Try to find a guy and if it's not like this one,
then we just make some adjustments.
You got to try to make a couple of adjustments.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What I was going to say was, a lot of times I can't be the judge of the quality of the work. Sometimes I'll notice, that something's been redone by, maybe a homeowner or a professional. You see the difference. Some things that I might say, well, I might not have done in my house that way.
For instance, like gold fixtures.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that's not trendy.
Exactly. I might make notes of it because it could have an effect on the value, but I can't say, or somebody that's updated. Exactly. They might have gotten a deal on certain light fixtures or something like that. It's updated, and I can mention it's updated. And if it's really, gaudy or something, I can make comment. But it's kind of a fine line. Because I've done a lot of stuff where homeowners will fix up their house. And, and as long as there's not some kind of, structural issue or something, something that's really wrong, then, it's an updated house too.
Updated.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is a split foyer.
Exactly.
Can you explain briefly what the difference between a split level and a split foyer is?
Yeah. Basically, a split foyer, they're all just like this. The foyer is split. When you walk in, you either go up or down. And so the foyer is right in the middle of the house. A split level is typically you come in on the first floor, and you'd come in right up, you'd be walking in just like this, and then you're going to go up to the second floor. It's just half the house.
You're going to go up about 4 or 5 or 6 stairs,
exactly.
and then underneath it, you're going to go down about 5 or 6 stairs.
And typically on a split level, only that part that goes up is the only part that has the basement underneath. Typically, sometimes
and the rest of it's probably crawl or something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. There's something in particular right now that you're notating that.
Actually, the first thing I'm doing is drawing out the walls.
Oh, okay.
So I see where all the rooms are and everything. And then I will do like floor material, what's been updated. Like they put, new appliances, new countertops, new different, And so I just mentioned, so all this is new, appears to be new wood floors.
Nothing in the neighborhood is sold. That's the problem.
That's a problem.
So talk about that, Bruce. Like, if nothing in the neighborhood, which obviously we're not going to have any kind of problem over here.
Right.
But if you go into it's in a neighborhood and nothing is at all is sold in the last year and a half, 2 years, what do? You got to go outside the neighborhood. You can't. You'd rather go outside the neighborhood than go back in time.
Yeah, actually, guidelines won't let you go back over 12 months. I mean, most lenders now, what they will do is, if I did that, I can't find something, in the neighborhood. I go outside the neighborhood, try to find something as close, as similar as possible, and then I may use as they want 3 comparables that are within 12 months. They prefer within 6 months. But so your first 3 comps will be in date. They might be a little bit farther away. But then you might put a 4th and 5th comp in from the subdivision just to show what the subdivision has done a year and a half, 2 years ago.
So you'll go on that 4th or 5th one. You'll go back 12 months or 18 months.
If I can't find one right in that area, that's probably what I would do. Is throw another one in there. You don't have to, but everything the more you do up front, the less questions you get behind. So if I just turn that in with 3 comps that were 2.5 miles away or whatever it might be farther, the underwriter might come back and go, we want something closer. We want something. And if you just address it at first and say there is nothing closer, however, I'm going to use this one that's an older. It shows values in the subdivision, that type of thing. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So things like popcorn ceilings is just another thing that you notate probably, and just to try to compare it, see if anything else in the neighborhood has that. Yeah. I know you probably can't give like an actual amount, like on a deduction or whatever, but it's just a feel.
Yeah, pretty much what it bakes down to is the amount of, if things are updated, the number of updates. Like you come in, and I'm jotting down the new things here, and so when I look at the comparable, I just try to compare, did they scrape the ceilings? Did they put granite instead of laminate in? Did they, so compare it like that. Did they put all new light fixtures? So there's a number of things that have been done in here, but I just jot down which ones are. And you're never going to get, the exact same thing. So you got to get a feel. So it might be where maybe the next one did scrape the ceilings, did granite, so I might say, well, okay, there's not one particular thing has a value, but the whole house is updated a little bit more, so I might say, okay, it's 5,000, 10,000, whatever it might be, more in updates than this one. Yeah.
So I don't know. Have you already done? I don't know if you've already done the legwork, or if you do that afterwards.
I usually do it after.
You do it after, so you then you try to figure out: do the bedrooms have carpet? Do the bedrooms have? Is there a second full bath? All these other things you do afterwards to try to.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, if it's great if you can do it before, because then when I'm out here, I can look at the comparables when I'm out. But a lot of times it's, you try to do it all before, and then you come out and you find out it's not what you thought it was. So I've done all that research. To me, I just prefer to come out there and I know what I'm looking at. I know what know what I'm looking for in comparables once I've been in this house. And once I measure it myself, once I take my pictures, and then I really know. So then I'll do the research. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And just like stuff like, I've just jotted the carpet, ceramic floors, fiber, inserts, just what things are done. It's got a new vanity, it looks like a new toilet, probably a new shower. And if I ever have questions too, I'll just call the realtor and go, okay, look, this is what I think it was. Did they do that? And I can call the realtor and say, hey, can you get your investor to, send me over a list of everything they did, which helps a lot. Then I can just, boom, including the list.
So let me ask you this. So let's say you're the seller, okay? Because you do this too.
Yeah, right.
You're on the selling end, but then the buyer comes and they've got their buyer, the buyer's agent. They've got their buyer. They're the ones ordering the appraisal through their lender.
Right.
And as the seller, how do I find out who the appraiser is, and how do I put together some sort of package that I can get to him without making it sound insulting,
right.
Just trying to help?
Yeah, sure.
Or should I not even worry about that?
Well, you can. I do it a lot of times, but usually just go through the agents. As long as you got agents involved, I usually just tell my agent, listen, I email my agent a list of everything, and then I let him or her just send it to the selling agent, and then they can, pass it along to the appraiser and that type of thing.
Do you recommend that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. Now, I also, the appraiser has to call, typically, the listing agent to get into the house. So that's another time whenever the appraiser calls the listing agent say, hey, listen, I got a list of repairs. And I don't know very many appraisers that would say, no, don't send it to me. More information is better. So,
So that's what I was going to ask you. What as the seller, as the guy who flipped the house, what do I send? Everything. The list of repairs. What else do I send the appraiser?
Pretty much the list of repairs is, he's going to have, the square footages, he's going to see everything else, but all your repairs is a good thing to send them, and then he can put that right directly in his report or copy of what he thinks, Now, I personally don't put what I spent on the house.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you did.
Exactly. I did this whole list of things.
But you wouldn't be so, I guess, I don't know the word, bold as to send, here are the comps that I used to when I first...
Honestly, I do.
You do?
Yeah. But, I'm an appraiser, and usually they know that I'm an appraiser, because also a lot of times the appraiser owns his house also. But there's not... I don't have a problem with that. As an appraiser, if a realtor, and a lot of times realtors will send me a list, and they'll send me... I like to know a lot of times what the listing agent used as a comparable to price the house. I like to know that, because if I'm having a difficulty, getting that value... So what did you use to price that? And if they've got a good comparable, then I can say, okay, all right, well, I see, I understand now. So,
but and conversely, you can also say, oh, I see, at least where you got that information. Here's why that's wrong. You can at least tell them, no, you can't use that because of X.
That's exactly it. That happens a lot. I'll get information all the time sent from me, and it'll be like the same type thing that you ran into. Somebody might say, okay, I got a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. And they send it to me, and it turns out that 2 of the bedrooms and one of the baths in the basement, so it's not a comparable to what I'm using. That type of thing. So, but you never know until you send it. Most appraisers, I don't think have a problem with. They may or may not use it, but it's there for them. And it gives them a better idea.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
This is a 2-hour appraisal.
Pretty funny.
So this is what, a 3-bed, 2-bath?
Yeah.
And then it looks like there's a half a basement. Yeah. You have to make sure the stove works?
Well, this is an FHA.
Oh.
So there are certain things, make sure water's running, make sure we don't have leaks. Not everybody does this, but I'll take pictures with the water on. I take pictures of, so that, they know that it is, it's working. So this is pretty typical on a split foyer. Now I know yours had finished basically the whole way, but this is more typical to have your garage and some unfinished on the one side. Yeah, this is where you look around and minor cracks I'm not going to worry about, that type of thing. But if I saw something that really dropped, really was significant, I would mention it or take a picture of it. That's one of the things about FHA too. If you have something they just want a picture of it. That's why I take pictures of so much stuff. The more pictures they like, so that's kind of what Really, I don't see anything. But here again, I'm not a home inspector, so that's why we really encourage people to get a home inspection, because that's what's really going to tell you all the details. So.
Yeah. So this is where you measured from the outside, but now you got to come and actually measure the basement space or the garage space versus the finished basement part.
Exactly. And it pretty much follows the line of the split foyer, so I was just checking it's there.
So they got an extra bedroom down here, an extra 4th bedroom, and kind of like a
den or rec room or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your take on I guess not personal opinion, but as far as an appraiser goes, the wood paneling versus sheetrock. You just have to note it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just wrote down paneling.
Well, it was upstairs in the living room too.
Yeah. There again, it's not that much. A lot of times there's a room here or there that has paneling. It's not that big a deal. Now, there are sometimes I've been out in the country where the whole house is paneling like this,
Right.
and so I might keep that in mind when I'm looking at comparables,
And it might be a bigger deal in a more upscale area too.
That's a real good point, because what in one area, what is perfectly fine, just say you have aluminum siding, or vinyl siding, in a house, and you go into Mount Brook and you have vinyl siding, that's not good,
Exactly.
I mean, so it's all different in different areas, but over here it'd be no problem.
But those are things that you're taught to.
Yeah,
You've got to.
That's what you got to look for.
Look for those and notate those
stuff, right? And a lot of times that'll happen. I'll see something that sells really low in somewhere like Mountain Brook, Homewood, or somewhere, and you go, God, why is it selling that low? And then you get out there and you realize it's all this, material that probably shouldn't be. And so somebody in that area is going to tear all of it off and totally redo it because it just doesn't fit the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Not that I want you to talk bad about your contemporaries, but what do you like if there are inconsistencies in appraisals? Why would there be? Does it come down to experience?
A lot can, and it's really, there's so much subjective stuff that it's somebody's a lot more conservative than somebody else, I mean, that plays into because there's no set guidelines like what I adjust per square foot. I've just done this because I've done it for so long. I know this area, and there are some formulas that we work just to kind of check us, and that type of thing. Mm-hmm. But it's still up to me to decide what that dollar amount is, and somebody else, it's their decision. So there can be differences. Now, one of the issues, and I just ran into this recently, is banks getting appraisers from outside the area to come in and do an appraisal, and they don't know the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I've had that happen. I had a particular bank in town call me last year, and somebody came in. It was a Mountain Brook house, and somebody came in and I think it was about a $600,000 or $800,000 house. It was a nice house, and they came in from like Pell City and did this Mountain Brook house, and they came in at like half that value.
Wow.
Just had no clue what they were doing, and so that they should have never taken the order because they didn't know the area. But so sometimes things like that can happen. Somebody doesn't really know that area, and they shouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You used a really key word a minute ago, the word subjective.
Yeah.
How much, and I know it's hard to pinpoint, but what would you feel like, how much is subjective?
Well,
I'm not trying to imply that all of it's subjective, but
right,
how much is there?
There's different, like just say, for instance, in the adjustments per square foot, that type of thing. In this area, somebody were to use $25 or $30 a square foot, and somebody might use $30 or $40 a square foot. That might be on the upper end in this particular area. Mm-hmm. So that could be, for that particular adjustment, that might be a 10 to 15% difference, depending on that particular. I'm not talking about the whole appraisal value, but that's for that particular area.
Right.
For guys that have been around for a long time, there's certain things that, like some guys have a rule of thumb that you might do, like 30% of the value of what it costs to do it. Like say if somebody put a deck on there, and say it was $8,000 deck. It might be, it's adjustment of a couple $1,000. Yeah, it's not, because you're not going to get dollar for dollar what it costs to put it. Now, if it's new construction, that's a little bit different because it's brand new, and that's what you're going to get charged what it costs to build it. But when you're talking about a house that's been there for a little bit, it's not going to be, if it costs you $5,000 to put a deck on there, you're not going to get a $5,000 adjustment. It might only be $1,000 or $1,500, that type of thing. So, but that's, what I think, and then what somebody else thinks. And, and like I say, there are some formulas. Without getting too, there's a thing called paired sales analysis that that we can plug in and give you an idea when you just plug in a bunch of comparables in a certain area, and you try to find, you know, all the same stuff, but maybe it's all the same except for a deck and except for a fenced yard. And then you try to figure out exactly what somebody paid extra for that particular item. You know, it gets kind of detailed, you know, but it kind of just to give you an idea, for us an idea. Okay, well in that neighborhood, this is roughly what people are paying extra for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
A couple of pictures. Shot this way too. Good deal.
So that's it, huh?
That is it. Simple as that.
It's really, so this is, you said earlier that this really isn't the hard part.
No, this is the easy part.
This is the easy part, coming out here, you measuring, trying to get your eyeballs on what there is to compare to something else.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. You know.
And then when you go and actually like pull the comps that you find, you I guess really all you can do is look at pictures, right?
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, we do go out and, you know, I can't go in them, but we can drive by them. You know, we're really supposed to drive by them and take pictures of them from the outside. But having them on MLS, you know, that gives me, I can look through all of it. I look at thousands of pictures, you know, to see, just to compare them. Yeah, that's exactly it. So
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
All
Well,
right.
that's it. That's
Well,
that's the inspection part of the appraisal. Hopefully, you guys got some really good information out of this, and we're gonna do another video here in the next week or so about the paperwork part of it and actually digging into that side of it, which might be a little bit more involved, and show how to pick them, how to pick the comps, and such like that. But this is it. I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you soon.